Hey guys, it's Nathan here from FVR Contracting, or through YouTube, FVR 375. So today I'm going to do a video to answer a couple of questions I've had about one of the key bits of equipment that I use pretty regularly, and that's around the wedge tail blast jackets, which are essentially the device that fits around the muzzle brake on the end of most of my rifles, which is basically designed to reduce impact to hearing and the noise that and muzzle blast that occurs laterally from the rifle barrel. So, in any case, what is a blast jacket? So, we'll start at the start. So, on a lot of rifles nowadays, you've got people using muzzle brakes of varying types. So, I've got a couple of types here that I can show you. That's a pretty standard sort of muzzle brake. So, it fits on the end of the barrel. And here's a different type, which is a Wedgetail Industries Ninox muzzle brake, which is a radial brake as well. So what they essentially do is when gas from the rifle firing behind the projectile comes out through the muzzle brake, a proportion of that gas is ejected sideways, and then that mass no longer contributes to either muzzle jump or recoil on the rifle. So muzzle brakes are good for fast follow-up shooting. They reduce the felt recoil on rifles, and basically they make them more shootable. So that less muzzle rise, your second shot's always going to be faster, that time of thing. Type of thing. So the downside of a muzzle brake is with that radial blast or that lateral movement of gas that comes out to reduce that mass going forwards and therefore recoil, etc. Obviously comes the noise that comes out to the flanks of that, and that's where the blast jacket comes in. So what a blast jacket essentially does is a shroud that goes over the top of the muzzle brake and then directs that gas which is coming out laterally and provided that benefit in terms of reducing recoil, muzzle flip, etc., and then captures it and directs it forwards again once you've had the benefit from that reduction in gas and excreta moving forwards. So in terms of wedgetail and blast jackets aren't a new thing. They've been around in the firearms industry for a long time. They are nothing like a suppressor. In fact, you can see on the couple of examples that I've got here, they're hollow. You can look straight through them. So all they do is protect your ears a little bit with that blast that's coming out of the side. A few years back, I hit Wedgetail up and asked, given that I use their rifles for most of my feral animal control work, whether they could design a blast jacket that would be suitable for use with their Ninox brakes. So again, that's the Ninox brake there, which when you buy a Wedgetail rifle, often it'll come with one of these and it has a little shroud on the outside to protect the thread. So the Ninox brakes are designed to work with Ninox suppressors through Wedgetail, but obviously you can use them just as a normal brake, or you can put a blast jacket on it as well. So this little item here is actually the first prototype blast jacket that Wedgetail did up, and the key reason why I needed blast jackets was for aerial shooting. If you're shooting on the same side as the pilot and you're running a radial brake such as that on the front of your rifle, that muzzle blast that then comes out laterally from the rifle can interrupt the pilot in terms of their hearing, and it gets quite uncomfortable in terms of the actual physical slap of gas coming back in towards the aircraft, etc. So when you put a muzzle brake on, a blast jacket over your muzzle brake, that prevents that from occurring, and it becomes a much safer activity. Anyway, that was the first iteration there. So that works quite well and has done for years. But very shortly after sending me one of these just to get it off the ground, Wedgetail came up with these heavier duty brakes here, which many of you have probably seen because they're all over my content at the moment, because I use these really regularly. And so again, does exactly the same thing as the other one, just a hollow tube that screws in over the top, as you can see there. So it integrates nicely with your muzzle brake. Okay, and then that just sits on the end of your barrel like that. So again, really significant in terms of noise reduction, and we're going to go and test this shortly down on the range so you can actually hear the difference. I'll put the camera to the side so you can see what the blast is like with and without when you're shooting a rifle that has a muzzle brake on it. And pretty excitingly, Wedgetail have just done up a new iteration of their blast jackets. So these little guys here, which are a much lighter weight version. So I won't actually quote the weight because I didn't weigh it before I came in here, but it's probably pretty close to half the weight of these guys. And again, these guys are very effective. They work well, particularly if you're shooting out of vehicles or aircraft or anything like that. Really good. In fact, I use them on ground shooting as well. They're not that heavy. They're still quite a light thing. But these little jackets here provide exactly the same benefit, just in a smaller package. So as you can see there, just integrate straight in over the top of the Ninox muzzle brake. Okay, and you've got a nice light package on the end of the rifle. So today, down on the range, we're going to test this out and just see how different it is in terms of the noise that comes off the side. And to do that, we're just going to use a 223, so you can get a perception of a fairly common round that's in use, and hear it both with and without the muzzle brake to see what your thoughts are on the differences there. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to move down to the range shortly, and we'll go and do that practical shooting. Okay, we've got the first round being fired without the blast jacket on, and I've got a microphone essentially sitting on my headset, so replicating the noise you get back at your ears. First round, 223 Remington. And 223 Remington with blast jacket on. So same again, but 308 Winchester without blast jacket. And 308 Winchester with blast jacket. So just back in from the practical shooting activity there, using both the 223 and the 308 with a mixture of just running a normal radial muzzle brake and then the blast jacket as well. You definitely can hear on the video a difference in the way the sound reverberates with the brake versus a jacket fitted. The overall volume of noise though is not markedly different, and I think that's a fair reflection of what blast jackets actually do. So the overall volume of noise doesn't decrease. That said, the way a microphone picks up that noise, even though the microphone's sitting up on my head fairly level with my ears for that particular activity, versus what you actually get come back at you from a noise perspective is a little bit different. So it probably is a little bit kinder on the ears than that video makes it out to be. But certainly you can see the effects there. There's no change in the amount of muzzle flip reduction or recoil reduction by having a blast jacket fitted, and then you have that noise being redirected forwards, which I guess is the key component of what these things do. So they're not suppressors, they don't alter the volume of noise, they just get it shifted in a slightly different direction so it's easier on you, the firer. And indeed, particularly in a range scenario or in a hunting scenario where you have multiple people, anyone that's on your flanks or in proximity to an area where they're going to get a lot of muzzle noise. Anyway, good bits of gear. I think they definitely have some significant value in terms of enhancing the overall shooting experience. If you do have any questions on how they work or any specific comments there, please feel free to put them in the comment section on the video, and I'll answer where I can. Obviously, as I said, it's very difficult to replicate overall noise levels without having a decibel meter, etc., which I don't have on hand. So I hope the video shows the difference between a braked rifle and a braked rifle with a blast jacket on it. I can certainly see it and hear it when I listen to the video, but it isn't as noticeable as it is when you're doing it first person. Anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more content as we move forwards. Cheers.